everyone, I'm Dr. J. Suresh Goud, Associate Professor in Mathematics Department, Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. Today, we are going to discuss about the definitions and terminology of test of hypothesis 2. That means test of hypothesis for small samples. See, in a small sample means size of the sample is less than 30. In small samples, we have 4 tests. T-test for single mean. And second one, T-test for difference of means. Third one, F-test. Fourth one, chi-square test. Totally we have 4 tests. In test of hypothesis 2. That means test of hypothesis for small samples. The second rule, what is the meaning of degrees of freedom? This is the most important concept in test of hypothesis for small samples. See, the number of degrees of freedom we can calculate the number of values in the final calculation of a statistic that are free to vary. Suppose total number of events are n, we can take n minus 1 degrees of the number of independent variables. Number of independent variables is known as degrees of freedom. In t-test for single mean, the number of degrees of freedom is n minus 1. N minus 1. Narrate about the conclusion in testing of hypotheses. In test of hypothesis, I told you that 5 steps. First, we are going to set up null hypothesis. And second, we are going to set up alternative hypothesis, H1. Both two are our assumptions only. And step 3, we are going to set up level of significance. This is the most important. Level of significance means the probability of rejecting null hypothesis when it is true. That is called level of significance. Generally, we can take alpha is 0.05. Right? And step 4, from this we can find out the tabulated value. Step 4, test statistic. That means it is a calculated value. Step 5 is most important, conclusion. That means we are compare step 3 and step 4. That means calculated value and tabulated value. If the calculated value is less than or equal to the tabulated value, then only we can accept null hypothesis. This one we are accepting. If the calculated value is greater than the tabulated value, then we are rejecting null hypothesis. This is not accept, reject null hypothesis. That means this is rejecting. So these are the 5 steps in a test of hypothesis included. First one null hypothesis, second one alternative hypothesis, third one level of significance, fourth one test statistic, fifth one conclusion. Now coming to the 5th question, analyze the student's t distribution for single mean. Analyze the t distribution for single mean. See, you consider small sample with size n with the mean x bar and variance s square. If you take this sample from the population with the mean, mu, variance sigma, then we can use the test statistic t equal to x bar minus mu by s by root n. This is the calculated value for t distribution for single mean. When it is, if the sample size is small and it should be only one sample, right? Difference of means, instead of one sample, we have two samples with the sizes n1 and n2. They are also small samples. Their means are x1 bar, x2 bar. Their means are x1 bar and x2 bar. And their variances are s1 square and s2 square. S1 square and s2 square. These two, if we choose from the mean and variance of the population, then we can use the formula T equal to x1 bar minus x2 bar by s into under root of 1 by n1 plus 1 by n2. This is T distribution for difference of means. That means, is there any difference between the means of the given two samples? We are verifying. Right? What is F distribution? Here also, two samples, small samples, like T distribution for difference of means. With the means x1 bar, x2 bar with the variances. We are going to use F test by using the formula s1 square by s2 square or reverse s2 square by s1 square. When we are going to use F test, if there is any difference between the variances, see T distribution for difference of means, we are going to use T distribution for difference of means. Is there any difference between the means of the samples? But here we are going to use, is there any difference between the variances of the sample? Got my point? Now, chi-square distribution, we are going to verify, is there any difference between frequencies, observed frequencies, that means given frequencies, and expected frequencies, that means calculated frequencies. Is there any difference between observed and expected frequencies? We can use the chi-square test by using sigma y minus ei whole square by ei. Got my point? Whether there is any significant difference between observed and expected frequencies, we can use chi-square test. What is the chi-square test for independence of attributes? We test if two attributes or consideration is independent or not. We test if two attributes under consideration is independent or not. State the degrees of freedom for T distribution for difference of means, which is n1 plus n2 minus 2 degrees of freedom. For single mean, n minus 1 degrees of freedom. For F test, n1 minus 1 comma n2 minus 1 degrees of freedom. Okay? Narrate the significance for small samples. The study of test of significance is the deviation between the observed sample statistic and hypothetical parameter value is significant, and the deviations between two sample statistics are significance. And what is the state, the formula of degrees of freedom for chi-square distribution of attribute? Rho minus 1 into column minus 1. Rho minus 1 into column minus 1. Okay, so these are the some basic important definitions of test of hypothesis for small samples. See, I'll explain you test of hypothesis. We divided into two parts: large sample, small sample. Total 8 tests. Large sample, single mean. We are going to test difference of means, single proportion, difference of proportions. Coming to small samples, t-test for single mean, t-test for difference of means, f-test, chi-square test. These are the 8 tests in test of hypothesis. According to the problem, we need to identify which test is suitable for the given problem. Which test is suitable for the given problem. How we can choose? First, we divide into 2 parts, large, small. First, you see the sample sizes, then immediately you divide into 2 parts. Suppose sample size is 60. You come to first 4 large samples, not for the small samples. Like that, we divide into 2 parts according to the problem. Suppose the sample size is 25. You can come to small samples, any one of the small samples. And you remember one thing, if you have only one sample, if it is large, you use single mean. If it is small, you use t-test for single mean. 2 samples, difference of means, 2 samples, difference of means. Single proportion, only single sample, it should be proportion. Proportion means the number of exhaustive events by the total number of events. That if that statement is given in that problem, you can go to single proportion instead of single mean. And here we have 2 samples, 2 different proportions. Instead of difference of means, you can use difference of proportions. And F distribution also 2 samples, but is there any difference between the variances? We can use F test. Is there any difference between the means? We can use t test. Last chi-square test is, we are going to verify, is there any difference between observed and expected frequencies. So like this, we need to identify which test is suitable for the given problem according to the data given in the problem. We should identify. Okay? Right. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.